Alira Voss jolted upright in her bunk, the cold breath of memory still clinging to her skin. For a second, she was 17 again, surrounded by ash and screaming. Tranquility Prime burning. Her sister's last cry lost beneath collapsing towers. The dim cabin lights of the Valkyrie hummed to life, a soft white glow pushing the nightmare back into the shadows. Alira rubbed her eyes and sat on the edge of the bed. No time for ghosts. Sable, she said, voice hoarse. Report. A synthetic voice, calm and genderless, replied from the ceiling. T-minus 11 minutes to target intercept. Stealth field remains nominal. All systems green. Alira stood, pulling on her armored flight suit. The motion helped settle her nerves. Muscle memory. Routine. Control. The Valkyrie was a ghost ship by design, matte black hull, gravitic dampeners, thermal scrubbers. Built not to fight in open combat, but to disappear. Now it drifted silently on the edge of Valkyrie space, a dagger sheathed in silence. In the command bay, the rest of the crew gathered. Lieutenant Kale, face lined with old scars, adjusted a bandolier of zero-G grenades. Technician Juno leaned over a console, tapping nervously, eyes flicking between readouts. Dr. Mira Lang arrived last, her uniform crisp, but her gaze distant. Final confirmation from Fleet Command, Juno said, handing Alira a data slate. Operation Talon is go. No backup, no extraction if we fail. Just us. We've done more with less, Kale muttered. He never said more than needed. Mira didn't speak at all. Alira scanned the slate. Their target, the Bloodfeast, a Valkyrie hunter cruiser the size of a small city. Recently docked near the gas giant Elkervie. Intel suggested it held command-level data and, more disturbingly, proof the Valkyrie were planning another planetary assault. Alira tossed the slate onto the console. We go in silent, split into 2 fireteams. Plant the charges. Pull data. Exfil before anyone knows we were there. And if they do? Juno asked. Then we improvise. Sable's voice chimed in. Captain, we're approaching target coordinates. Shall I begin launch procedures? Yes, Alira said. Deploy the shuttle. The Valkyrie released its payload, a sleek, shielded insertion craft that fired silently toward the alien cruiser. Inside, the crew checked weapons and gear. Juno avoided eye contact. Kale checked his rifle twice. Mira finally spoke, voice low. I've seen Valkyrie close. They don't fight. They hunt. Then they'll learn we bite back. Alira replied, eyes fixed ahead. As they neared the Bloodfeast, the alien vessel came into full view, a grotesque monolith of bone metal and pulsating veins, like it had been grown, not built. It hung in orbit like a predator at rest, mouth slightly open. The shuttle latched onto a maintenance airlock beneath the cruiser's spine. Magnetic clamps hissed. Alira led the breach team into a pitch-black corridor, their suits shifting to adaptive camo. Inside, the ship smelled wrong. A chemical rot. Something beneath flesh. The walls curved organically, lined with twitching fiber optics and spines like coral teeth. Sable guided them via uplink. You are inside a tertiary maintenance conduit. Primary objectives are located 3 decks above. Valkyrie crew patterns indicate low presence in this sector. Keep us quiet, Alira said. The team moved like phantoms. Footsteps muted, rifles ready. Kale took point. Juno kept scanning for trip sensors. Mira flinched at every organic twitch of the walls, but held formation. The corridor opened into a vast chamber. Trophies hung from hooks along the ceiling, skulls, exoskeletons, armor fragments still wet with fluid. A Terran helmet rested on one of the spikes. The visor cracked. Burnt blood caked inside. Kale cursed under his breath. Juno whispered, That could have been any of us. It was, Mira said quietly. Just earlier. Alira motioned for silence. Ahead, they reached a junction. 2 paths. Alira, Juno, and I can handle the charges, Mira said. Her voice shook, but her eyes held steady. You go for the data. Alira nodded. We meet back here in 20. No detours. As Mira and Juno peeled off, Elira and Kale continued upward. Every step was a risk. Every shadow a possible death. But Elira's mind was cold now, focused. Efficient. They passed through a chamber filled with biostasis pods, most sealed, a few cracked open. Inside, human bodies floated in preservation fluid. Test subjects. Still alive. Kale stiffened. We aborting for retrieval? No, Elira said. We finished the mission. Then we bury this place. Sable pinged her visor. Captain? You are approaching the command node. One heat signature ahead. Unmoving. Alive? Unclear. They reached the node. The door slid open with a wet hiss. Inside, a tall figure stood with its back turned, Valkyrie, armored in boneplate, motionless. A ceremonial spear rested in its claws. Dead? Kale asked. Maybe, Elira said. But don't turn your back on it. She stepped forward, activating her data spike. The command node pulsed red as it accepted the hack. Lines of alien code flooded her HUD. Star maps. Supply routes. A chilling schematic of Earth. Sable's voice cut in again. New development. I have detected a shift in local Valkyrie encryption. They are aware of an anomaly. Cloaking field may have been compromised. How long until we're exposed? Elira asked. 4 minutes. Possibly less. The Valkyrie statue twitched. Elira raised her rifle. Move! They sprinted back through the passageways, ducking under bioflesh vents and leaping over chittering drones as alarms began to throb in the walls. At the rendezvous, Mira and Juno waited, both breathing hard. Myra's eyes were wild, but her jaw was set. Charges planted, she said. We're good to go. Then we leave, Elira said. As they retreated toward the shuttle, the ship groaned, as if aware. The walls pulsed. Something deeper in the cruiser stirred. Sable's voice dropped to a whisper. Captain, I believe the Valkyrie are no longer asleep. Elira didn't answer. She didn't need to. She already knew. The corridors pulsed now, faint but rhythmic, like a heartbeat growing stronger. The blood feast was waking. Elira held up a fist, halting the team near a junction where the walls grew tighter, the organic design narrowing into skeletal ridges. Patches of bioluminescence flickered like diseased stars. Kale crouched beside her, rifle steady. Any movement ahead? She whispered. Sable replied through their comms. No direct contact. Valkyrie still converging deeper inside the ship. You're ghosted for now. Not good enough, Elira muttered. Let's split. Kale and I move for the data vault. Mira, Juno, stick to the original path, plant the charges, get back to the extraction point. Juno's hesitation lingered. We should stay together. If they're stirring, they'll strike in force. Elira cut in. We're faster in pairs. You want a chance at finishing this, follow orders. Juno nodded once, jaw tight. Myra's eyes scanned the darkness beyond. No one wanted to admit it, but something in the air had changed. The silence was heavier, taut as wire. The teams separated. Kale and Elira moved through the narrowing hall, ducking beneath clusters of hanging cords and muscle-like fiber strands that recoiled when touched. No mechanical hums, no doors, only pulsating membranes opening with moist hisses. Feels like we're walking through lungs, Kale said. Then let's not choke, Elira replied. 2 levels up, Sable flagged a chamber lined in obsidian black plating, an unnatural addition to the bone metal construction. That's it, Sable said. Data vault. No heat signatures inside, but EM readings are erratic. Possibly shielded. Elira approached the entrance, rifle raised. The hatch was a clean rectangle, unlike the rest of the ship. She pressed her palm to the interface. Nothing. Kale slid a bypass rod into the panel, short-circuiting it. The door slid open, soundless. Inside, hundreds of narrow crystalline nodes hovered above the floor. They rotated slowly in synchronized arcs, connected by threads of pale blue energy. Information streamed across the strands, too fast to read. Plug in, Alira said. Kale inserted the spike Sable had prepared into one of the data conduits. The blue threads flared, shivering violently. Then, stillness. Sable spoke. Transfer initiated. Intercepting Valkyrie military stratagems, fleet patterns, cast communication structures. Alira's visor pinged. Get what you can and scrub the rest. No traces. While the eye worked, Alira took the moment to breathe. Not relax. Just breathe. You think they built this themselves? Kale asked quietly, eyeing the alien geometry. No. They probably ate whoever did. Before Kale could respond, Sable's tone shifted. Captain? New development. Internal surveillance is down, scrambled. Deliberately. Another intelligence is manipulating Valkyrie systems. Alira turned sharply. You mean we're not alone in this ship? Unknown. But something just rerouted power to the lower decks. At that moment, the chamber lights died. Kale snapped his rifle to infrared. Movement behind us. Big. Alira grabbed the data spike and yanked it free. Go. Now. As they slipped out of the vault, a low vibration shook the floor, steady, methodical footfalls. Something was coming. Not drones. Not feral. Controlled. They sprinted through the corridor, back toward the meeting point. Sable guided them with whispered directions. As they reached a curved intersection, a figure emerged ahead. Valkyrie. Tall, sinewed, armored in curved black plating etched with bone script. Not rushing. Just walking. Confident. Kale raised his rifle and fired. The round struck center mass, and did nothing. The Valkyrie kept advancing. Back! Alira shouted. Kale lobbed a gravitic mine. It detonated midair, pulling the alien to the side. Momentary pause. Just enough. They slid into a side chute, sealing the hatch behind them. The lights flickered again. That wasn't patrol, Kale said, breathing hard. No, Alira replied. That was bait. On the other side of the cruiser, Juno and Mira reached the reactor corridor. It stretched downward like a throat, coils of living conduit wrapped around core pylons that pulsed faintly. The reactors were partially organic, like the rest of the ship, fed by some biomechanical process neither human science nor ethics dared unravel. This place feels wrong, Mira said. Juno knelt at the first node. So does our mission. But if we don't end this, they'll burn another colony. Maybe Earth. Silence stretched. Then Mira knelt beside her, setting the explosive. You okay? Juno asked without looking up. No, Mira said. But I'm here. The charges were planted quickly. As they finished the third, Mira froze. Her eyes widened, not at something she saw, but what she didn't. I don't hear them anymore. Juno paused. Hear what? The ship. Breathing. It stopped. The corridor behind them lit up with crimson pulses. An alert. But it wasn't an alarm for intruders. It was a call to arms. The Valkyrie were hunting. Back at the junction, Alira and Kale arrived early. The hall was silent. Too silent. Alira scanned their approach path. We're exposed here. Sable spoke. They've rerouted energy to the ventilation system. Captain, I believe they're guiding you. Into what? A ritual arena, Sable said. They're not just responding. They're observing. Alira understood then. This wasn't retaliation. It was a performance. We're being tested, she said. They don't want to kill us. Not yet. They want to hunt us. A new voice crackled across their comms. Not Sable. Not human. Deep. Amused. You've come far, little Apex. It said. Far enough to die with honor. Kale froze. Alira's grip tightened. Identify, she demanded. I am Herakul, the voice replied. Devourseer of the Flame Caste. And you are prey. Clever. Armed. Defiant. But prey. Alira stared at the walls, voice even. Then you've made your mistake. We're not prey anymore. A laugh echoed, guttural, ancient. We shall see. Juno and Mira arrived, sweat beading their brows. No pursuit yet. But something had changed in the way the ship pulsed. Like it was waiting. Charges set, Juno said. What now? Alira didn't answer immediately. She stared into the corridor where they'd entered, watching shadows writhe along the walls. Then she looked back at her crew. One bloodied. One scared. All still breathing. She nodded. We finished what we started. Alira crouched in the corridor, watching her reflection ripple in the bone metal wall. The lights above flickered red, then blue, then died entirely. Only her visor's HUD gave shape to the darkness. They're hurting us, she muttered. Like cattle, Cale said. His voice was calm, but his grip on the rifle was white-knuckled. They know the exits, Sable added. Every passage you attempt to take redirects. They've shut down physical doors and are venting corridors to push you inward. Toward a central arena. Alira stood. Then we stop running. She tapped into her suit's command system, sending a tight beam encrypted message to Admiral Crane. Contingency Alpha, enemy aware, mission compromised, intel secured. Orders? The reply came seconds later. It was brief. Cold. Detonate if unable to escape. Protect the data. She looked at her crew. Mira was pale, shaking, but holding. Juno was hunched over a console, fingers working fast. Cale stood like a statue, always ready to die without a sound. We're not dying here, Alira said. They want a performance. Fine. We give them one. Juno looked up. We're walking into a trap. No, Alira replied. We're walking into their story. Time to rewrite the ending. They followed the path lit by embedded veins in the walls. Blue pulses, timed like drumbeats, guided them deeper into the ship's heart. Sable whispered in their ears. I've decoded partial schematics. Ahead is a ritual chamber. It appears to serve both as trial and execution stage. Multiple sensor feeds converge there. They're watching. Broadcasting? Alira asked. Possibly to command ships. Or feeding their hivenet. Perfect. As they entered the chamber, the space opened around them like a wound. High ceilings, ribbed arches, a central pit surrounded by jagged spires. Symbols carved in a looping, Predator's script encircled the arena. And standing atop a raised platform, Herakul. He was larger than any Valkyrie Alira had seen. His armor bore gold inlays, ceremonial instead of practical. A spear in one hand, a curved obsidian blade in the other. No helmet. His face was an amalgam of armored plates and sinew, teeth exposed in a perpetual snarl. Captain Voss, he called, voice carrying across the arena. I commend you. Few ever reach this place alive. Alira didn't flinch. Maybe we're not like the others you've skinned. Herakul chuckled. You are different. Defiant. Predictably so. You mistake defiance for strength. But strength is survival. I've survived more than you'll ever understand. He leapt down, landing in a crouch that cracked the floor. Then prove it. Cale stepped forward, but Alira stopped him with a hand. He wants me. Let him. You sure? Cale asked. Trust me. She walked into the center of the arena, removing her rifle and dropping it behind her. Knife only. Her pulse slowed. She drew the blade from her thigh sheath, a single-edged tungsten blade, human-made. Herakul smiled. A toothpick? Alira raised it. Let's see who bleeds first. He moved first, fast. Too fast. She barely sidestepped his spear thrust, the blade slicing air beside her face. She countered low, cutting his thigh, shallow but clean. The crowd of watching Valkyrie, not present, but observing through the ship's systems, roared through Sable's filtered data. A mark had been scored. Herakul circled. Impressive. But that cut is a whisper. You'll need to scream. He struck again, this time with the obsidian blade. Alira blocked with her forearm brace, sparks flying. Pain shot up her arm, but she didn't drop the knife. She dropped him instead. A knee to his side, then a roll and slash across his chest. Deeper. More blood. But then he hit her. A backhand that sent her skidding across the floor. Her visor cracked, half her HUD dying instantly. Enough games? He said. I'll carve the fear into your bones. Alira spat blood. No wonder your kind needs rituals. You can't win without a script. He lunged again, but she was already moving. Feint left, bait the overhead slash, then drive the blade up through his underarm, into the soft membrane beneath the plates. Harakal howled. Alira twisted the blade and whispered, That's for Tranquility Prime. He fell, gasping. Kale and the others rushed in, but Alira held up her hand. Don't kill him. Mira stared. What? After everything. He's worth more alive. She knelt, pulled a neural disruptor from her belt, and jammed it into the base of his skull. Sable spoke, quiet but urgent. You've gained control of his biocortex. Broadcasting access engaged. You can send a direct signal to the Dominion castnet. Do it. She grabbed Harakal's comm node and stared into its lens. Her face was bloodied. Half her visor gone. The knife still in her hand. Broadcast me. The message shot through the Dominion's encrypted channels like a spike of static through silence. This is Captain Alira Voss of Earth's Valkyrie. You thought we were prey. You thought wrong. You hunted us across stars, tore our worlds apart, and called us weak. She paused, leaning close to the feed. We adapt. We survive. And now, we hunt you. She stood, walked past Harakal's gasping form, and turned to her team. Let's finish this. Minutes later, back in the corridor, they activated the charges. Sable guided them through a collapsing passage toward the extraction shuttle. Juno glanced back. We really leaving him alive? Alira nodded. He'll tell the story. And they'll listen. Behind them, the blood feast began to tear apart. Fires burned beneath its bone skin, reactors rupturing in chain reactions. They launched from the home moments before the explosion consumed the sky. Alira didn't watch it. She was already looking ahead. The shuttle bucked violently as it cleared the shockwave. Metal groaned. Lights flickered. Mira cursed, clutching a ceiling strut as the vessel spun through a field of burning debris. Sable, Alira barked. Stabilize our trajectory. Adjusting course, the AI replied. Thrusters engaged. Impact vector decreasing. Outside, the remains of the blood feast disintegrated into glowing slag. Its core detonated in silence, a silent bloom of light across the void. One Predator ship erased. Inside the shuttle, no one celebrated. Kale sat against the wall, clutching his side where a splinter of alien metal jutted from his armor. Blood seeped into the floor. Juno knelt beside him, trying to stanch the flow. Mira worked silently, her hands trembling only when she thought no one was looking. Alira stood at the viewport, watching the wreckage tumble. Not to admire the destruction. To be sure it was done. Kale groaned. Next time, maybe a quieter victory. You alive? Alira asked without turning. Mostly. That's good enough. Mira finished sealing the wound with coagulant foam. He needs a med bay, not field tape. You'll have it, Alira said. Sable, status of the Valkyrie? Cloaked. Holding position in orbit. Preparing to receive you. ETA? 6 minutes. Juno looked up. Enemy response? Sable hesitated, a rare thing. Unclear. But Valkyrie communication patterns have shifted. Your broadcasts reached them. Multiple Dominion nodes went dark. Others lit up. Conflict or panic, I cannot determine which. Doesn't matter, Alira said. They heard. She turned back to her crew. We weren't supposed to make it out. They planned this trap for months. They wanted us dead, humiliated, erased. Juno raised an eyebrow. And? Alira smiled, just slightly. And now we're in their nightmares. Aboard the Valkyrie, they docked under full lockdown. Kale was moved immediately to the med chamber. Mira followed, unwilling to leave his side. Juno dropped into her chair at the command console, eyes flicking to the data spike now plugged into the ship's core. Alira watched the file transfer silently. Sable parsed Valkyrie military codes in real time, dissecting language, hierarchy, fleet dispositions. Every line of data was a weapon. She stepped into the war room, dark and silent. Alone. The door sealed behind her. Sable, she said quietly. Open encrypted channel to High Command. Priority red. Ready. The AI responded. A moment later, Admiral Crane appeared, holographic, severe, flanked by shadows. His tone was unchanged. Report. We completed the operation, Alira said. Ship destroyed. Primary target neutralized. Intel secured. Casualties? 1 wounded. No losses. Crane nodded once. The Dominion has already begun shifting its fleet formations. Your message struck harder than we expected. Alira's jaw tightened. They'll retaliate. They'll try. Crane paused, then leaned forward. What you've started, it's going to escalate. No more holding lines. No more defense. Earth is authorizing Phase 2. Alira didn't flinch. I'm ready. Crane studied her a moment longer. You'll have command of the new fleet. Shadow-class vessels. Deep strike authority. We hit them where it hurts. Predators don't fear loss, Alira said. They fear exposure. Fear becoming the hunted. Then make them feel it, Crane said, and the transmission cut. Later, in the crew galley, Juno stared at a projection of Valkyrie script decoding line by line. It's not just orders, she said. It's cultural logs. Rituals. Feeding patterns. There's a chain of dominance hardwired into everything they do. Explains the arrogance, Mira said, entering quietly. How's Kale? Sleeping. Stable. Alira sat across from them. Keep breaking their language. Every secret we take weakens them. Juno nodded. You really think one message is enough? No, Alira said. But it was the first. She stood, walked to the viewport again. This time, she allowed herself to stare longer. The red giant Elkervie burned in the distance. A sun that outlived empires. Sable's voice returned. Captain, would you like to hear the post-broadcast chatter I intercepted? Play it. Static. Then a low growl. Valkyrie language, distorted by translation. Asterisk one of the soft ones, pierce the seer. They see us now, the prey has teeth. Asterisk. Alira let the silence follow. Good. She recorded a new message. No ceremony. No theatrics. Just a plain transmission sent through twisted Valkyrie frequencies, intentionally leaked. This is Alira Voss. We've taken your secrets. We've bled your leaders. You thought yourselves untouchable. You thought your rituals made you gods. She looked directly into the camera. You've mistaken fear for respect. You think we run. But we're coming. She ended it there. No threats. No promises. Just truth. Hours later, with the crew resting, Alira returned to her bunk. The nightmare didn't come. No fire. No screams. No sister reaching out with burned hands. Only stars. She lay in silence, eyes open, heart quiet for the first time in years. She didn't sleep. She planned. In the ship's hidden bay, beneath the main deck, 30 more commandos trained in silence. New recruits. Fresh weapons. Upgraded tech. They were waiting. Because now humanity had something it hadn't before. A taste of victory. And the scent of the hunt.